Welcome back to the channel, guys, and for those who are new, my name is Chris. I got Gabby here, and then this is Casper. And so Casper here is a trained alligator that I trained. I've been working with him for 13 years now, and he's the star of my underwater gator tours, where I actually had people come get in the water with me and Casper. Normal people are behind a safety net though, and we get some really cool photos of people with Casper, right? But today we want to talk to you about a couple of really cool alligator features and things we've had a lot of common questions about lately, such as how they breathe and how they sleep, or lack thereof as far as the sleep goes. So what should we hit first?
Well, you had a lot of people commenting because your last video you were mentioning why you can't sedate them, because a lot of hecklers are like, oh well, he's obviously sedated. So we did a very in-depth video talking about why you can't sedate them, because they are conscious breathers.
Right.
So then a lot of people were very confused as to how they sleep without drowning.
Okay, right. So just to recap that, so as far as being a conscious breather goes, so what that means is that alligators, or crocodilians rather, they're all conscious breathers, which means just like dolphins do the same thing too. Every breath he takes is a conscious decision. He has to think about breathing. Now, you're an unconscious breather. You're breathing right now without thinking about it, and you also continue to breathe when you are unconscious. So if you are drugged or sedated, you still continue to breathe automatically. They don't do this, okay? And this might sound like a bad thing, but it's actually advantageous for an animal like this that breathes air but still lives in the water, because if he is knocked unconscious for any reason, he doesn't automatically start breathing underwater like we do. Like, I'm a free diver, okay? So if you don't know what free diving is, that's where I dive down, I hold my breath, no scuba tank, just hold my breath, and I can free dive 80 feet underwater. Now, a scary thing when you're a free diver though is something called shallow water blackout. And that's where you run out of oxygen and you black out underwater. Now, if you black out underwater as a human, you automatically start breathing underwater and you kill yourself, you drown yourself. And this kills a lot of young free divers, spear fishermen, things like that. So it's a really scary thing. Now that's because we're not evolved to live in the water like that, and so we automatically start breathing underwater when we go unconscious and you drown yourself. Now, you can see that is very problematic for an animal that lives in the water. That's why they have evolved this way. So if he is fighting another alligator and they're fighting and he gets bit in the head and he gets knocked unconscious by the bite, he is not going to automatically breathe when he sinks underwater, okay? So you can see how this is really advantageous for them to have this feature. That way, if he is unconscious underwater, he doesn't automatically breathe and kill himself and drown himself, right? So you can see how that actually helps him out a lot. So being this conscious breather is a good thing for them. Now, that also complicates things for us as far as vet care goes, or as far as the haters are thinking, well, he must be sedated to act like this. No, because if you do sedate him and he does slip out of consciousness in any way, then he won't breathe. Or if he's even just a little, I don't know how else to say, if he's a little high, he might not think well enough to be able to know to breathe, right? And then he'll stop breathing and then he can die, right? So that's why we actually do have to sedate one for vet care. We bring him into the vet. We actually have to intubate them. We have to take him out. We have to put a tube down his throat to give him oxygen down the lungs. And that way he's able to breathe, while he's sedated, if we have to bring one in for surgery or something like that, right? And again, this brings us back to, well, he can't be sedated, when we're doing these interactions, because everybody thinks, oh, he must be sedated. You literally can't do it. You're going to kill him if you do. Now, on that note too, even for animals that are unconscious breathers like us, you don't want to sedate any animal near water in general. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Gabby's a vet.
They can drown. Well, I'm not a vet.
Yeah, she's a vet tech. Okay, so vet tech. So explain this to people too, so they know this applies to everything.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to sedate an animal next to, in a pool. That's just like crazy. Even when they come out of surgery and they're waking up, we don't give them food or water for a couple hours after. We don't want them to drown or inhale water or food in the lungs and aspirate. So it's just not a good idea. There's some food up there. Do you want to just give them a treat and just show everyone the immediate reaction?
Yeah.
He looks like he's sleeping right now.
Oh, and this, by the way, is a gator chow biscuit. It's made out of chicken and fish and all this stuff, right? So you see how he's just chilling? I'm gonna call him. Watch his immediate. Casper, come. Come. We'll turn him all the way around. Come. 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 boy. Come. Oh boy.
No, okay, that was super delayed, but usually he's a lot quicker.
There you go, big guy. It's so delayed because we just filled him up with drugs beforehand. No.
What about
obviously.
10 pounds of food? How people always say, you must have fed him a whole antelope before you got in there.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we should save that for the debunking video.
Okay, we're gonna do a separate debunking video as
Yes.
to why you're wearing glasses,
Yeah, oh my God.
gloves.
All the silly,
The
ludicrous things that people say. Okay, but first we got to talk about the sleeping thing. Okay, because we just did a lot about the drugs, or lack of being drugged, and the breathing thing. So now we got to talk about the sleeping part.
Did you
okay?
talk about the proper terminology yet?
For the sleeping?
Yeah.
No, we haven't.
Okay,
We haven't,
okay.
We haven't even touched sleeping yet.
All
okay.
right.
So sleeping. Okay, so these guys do not sleep. Whoops, sorry, buddy. Okay, I fell forward almost because I almost put my knee on his toe, and I would rather fall forward on him intentionally and brace myself than actually put my weight onto his toe and make him mad, because he'll spin right around and try to bite me if I did that. Okay, but anyways, sleeping. Okay, so they do not sleep like what we do as far as what we consider normal sleeping, right? So they do what's called Uni Hemispheric Sleeping, and so what this means is half the brain goes to sleep at a time. That way they're always conscious and always awake, which is really good when you have to be awake in order to breathe, okay? So this ties into the breathing thing, right? So in order to be able to breathe all the time, they always have to be awake, always have to be conscious, and so that's how this unihemispheric sleeping thing really comes into play. It's actually the same thing that dolphins do. So you can Google this about dolphins too. Dolphins do the exact same thing. And now this is really important as far as breathing goes, but it's also really advantageous for them as far as being an ambush predator goes. And that way he can just kind of chill all day and just hang out in the same spot, and maybe he's like halfway sleeping, you know what I mean, where he's got like half his brain asleep, so he's just kind of dozing, but he's still awake, he's still taking in information around the environment, able to see everything going on, and able to watch for prey or a possible predator too, if you're a younger alligator, of course. So that really helps him out a lot. And it's so funny because those are peacocks, by the way. We get that a lot. People think that the peacocks in the background are cats. I get so many comments. I hear the cats screaming in the background that you're about to feed to the alligators. They're peacocks, guys. Okay. But anyways, though, what was I about to say?
I don't know. I'm just looking at how cute he is right now.
I know he's so cute.
Oh, he's so cute. Oh, dolphins, marine animals, Uni Hemispheric.
I was so distracted by the peacocks. I was right about to hit a really important thing too.
This is what happens when you film all in one take, guys.
Yeah. You know what? I hope people appreciate that in our videos, by the way. We try to knock this all out in one take.
Most people do lots of cuts, lots of editing. We
Yeah.
pretty much do all of ours in one
Yeah,
take.
which I get a lot of comments. People are like, "Oh, you said the same thing. You repeat yourself." I'm like, "Yeah, because I do it in one take, guys. It's all in one take." But anyway, so yeah, the unihemispheric sleeping thing, or lack of sleeping thing, helps out, or is very important as far as the breathing goes, but also as far as watching for other animals and prey. That's what I was about to say. Is before I read about this and read up on it, when I was younger, I was always around alligators, and I would see them all day. And if I was working, I'd work with them all day, and then I go out for research and I'd catch them at night. And I'm like, wait a minute, I just spent all day with them, I didn't see them sleeping, and then I go out to catch them, and I'm with them all night, and I don't see any of them sleeping then. And so I have my own personal theory. I'm just like, what is going on here? I'm with them 24 hours a day, and I never see them sleeping. So do they not sleep? And that's what really got me to look into it. And that's when I started reading some actual academic publications and papers talking about it. And that's where it really explained, yeah, they don't sleep. They do this unihemispheric thing.
Oh, okay. So I just thought of something. So in a lot of your alligator videos, diving with wild alligators and crocodiles, and they're on the bottom, everyone's like, oh, well, they're sleeping on the bottom so they don't know you're there.
Oh,
Can we
okay.
talk about the pores and like how you literally cannot creep up on them?
Yeah, so really quickly.
I know, because or else if it's straight, it's like just his head. Like he's in an awkward position right now, so maybe just back him up.
Okay.
Again, guys, this is all in one take, so.
Here, I'll
There we
hold him
go.
up again
Much
for a
better.
second.
There it
we go.
is.
We'll see how long he lets me do this. Probably not very long. Okay. Okay, so
yeah, sleeping on the bottom.
right. So when I encounter the wild alligators or crocodiles, because we dive with both, check out the video we did where I'm diving with a 15-foot wild crocodile and a 13-foot wild alligator together underwater. First time that's ever been documented, by the way. Super cool. But anyways, though, so when I'm with those animals and they're on the bottom, that's actually one of their first defense mechanisms, if you will, is camouflage. So when they see me, I know everybody thinks that they're supposed to be super aggressive and they're supposed to immediately attack you. That's not what they always do. Now, sometimes that does happen. Don't get me wrong. It does happen sometimes. But normally, their first act upon seeing a human is fear. They're afraid of you. And so the first thing they're going to do is sink down to the bottom and sit on the bottom and sit absolutely still and rely on their camouflage. And they're going to hope that you don't notice them, okay? Now, when they're up on land or something like that, they don't usually try this first because they feel disadvantaged, they feel vulnerable on land, so they're going to go into deeper water and sit on the bottom and sink down. And that's where they feel the safest, is on the bottom in deeper water. And then that's where they're going to sit totally still and hope that you just don't notice them and that you leave. Now, they can also do that not only because they're afraid, but also to ambush, okay? Now, how would you know the difference? You don't. That's why it's always really freaky for me, because I'll see him sitting on the bottom totally still, and I'm like, I don't know if he's doing that because he's afraid and he's trying to hope that I don't notice him, or because he's hunting and he's hoping I don't notice him. You know, so they will totally do that for both of those reasons and sit just like a statue, completely motionless on the bottom, okay? So that's why they're going to do that. And then at any point, they might decide, again, if he's in that ambush mentality and they don't let you know, there's no way to know, they can go from sitting absolutely still like that to just whack and swing out to bite, which I've seen happen. It's terrifying, okay? So that's why also when I'm down there with them, you can't get complacent. You know, you can't think like, oh, look, it's asleep on the bottom. That's how you die, okay? You can't think like that, right?
Can we call Casper over and show the ISOs?
Yeah.
And
We'll
just
give him a
talk
treat.
about them a little bit?
I'm giving him another little treat right here. Casper, come. See him pick up the speed right there? There you go, buddy. Come here. Good boy. All right. I'll let him enjoy his little treat right there, and we'll talk about his integumentary sensory organs. So, along his face right here, you see those little black dots all along the face? So these are all called integumentary sensory organs, okay? ISOs for short. And so those are very, very sensitive to touch. In fact, somebody did a neurological study and showed that those little tiny dots on his face are actually 10 times more sensitive than the human fingertip. And so super sensitive, and they use that to feel around in the murky water. Because you have to imagine, normally when they're out in the wild, it does not look all nice and clean and clear like this. It's brown, dirty, murky water with no visibility at all. So they use these to feel around in the water for any fish or anything moving around down there. And so one of their favorite things to do is, what I was just saying, sit absolutely motionless on the bottom like a statue without moving, and they wait for a fish to come by. Now, if it's murky water, again, they can't see the fish, so they just sit there and wait for the fish, and when they feel that movement in the water and they can feel that splashing around, that's going to be detected by those ISOs, swing out, nail the fish, okay? And that is one of the main hunting strategies used by crocodilians around the world.
And they can detect pressure changes, right? Temperature,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
things like that. Would you, for the people that still don't understand or aren't familiar with alligators at all, could you kind of compare them to whiskers of like a cat, maybe, to help them?
Yeah.
Just much more.
Yeah, I mean,
evolved.
it's definitely very different, but kind of serving a similar purpose, or the lateral line on a fish, so they can feel not only the touch of something, but the movement in the water too, okay? So you can feel that water movement, and that's going to be detected by those ISOs. And then also, if they're in flowing water, one of their favorite things to do is to sit right where water's flowing, and they sit there with their mouth open, and they wait for something to bump into them, and they're gonna have sticks, leaves, all kinds of stuff bump into them. And in that moment, they have to decide whether or not that's food or not. So when they have something bump into them, they're gonna wanna decide if that's a fish or not, and those ISOs are gonna help them decide that and figure it out, right? Here's a really interesting example of that. So right now, you know, I'm in the water and I have my full suit and gloves on, everything like that. So he could feel that. He can feel the difference. And in fact, it's so sensitive that he can feel the difference of my skin, whether it's my hand or the softer skin over here. And I learned this because one time I picked up an alligator. I work with a lot named Bandit. I picked up Bandit, and I can touch Bandit in the side of the face, doesn't try to bite my hands, barehanded, you know. He can feel my skin, he knows. And when I picked him up, he felt this soft skin right here, and he immediately went to bite it. Okay, I actually got a little scar right there, got a tooth right there. And it didn't actually bite me, just got one tooth, and I was able to get out of the way, and so he didn't actually clamp on me, but it was very, very close, and it was instigated by that difference of texture feeling between the skin of my hand and the skin right here. He felt that difference, and he felt the soft skin and thought it was like, I don't know, something to eat, you know, maybe a piece of chicken or something like that. It felt more like chicken skin, I guess, and he went for it, you know, so that really emphasizes that difference right there. Is that
I think
explain
you
it?
did a pretty good job.
All right, well, let us know in the comments, guys. You know, comment back. Let us know any questions, anything else about, you know, what we were just discussing. I really do hope you enjoyed the video, and I really hope you learned something. You know, a lot of our videos are a lot of action and fun stuff, and that's what we want to do, but education is definitely key, and we want to teach people about these animals. So hopefully you guys learned about the alligators, and big thank you to Casper right here. Thank you very much, buddy.
Before we end, where can people find out more information about coming to swim with Casper?
Yes, thank you. So come swim with me and Casper, get in the water with us, do an underwater gator tour. I have all the info and booking on my website, crocodilecris.com, and hope you guys can make it. Come do a tour with us. And again, you enjoy this video, hit share, like, subscribe, and thank you.